There is a proposal being discussed in Congress that could change how many Americans think about working while collecting Social Security benefits. If you have ever wondered whether you could continue working and still receive the benefits you earned over decades of paying into the system, this topic matters to you. Even if retirement still feels far away, understanding how these possible changes work could help you make more informed financial decisions in the future. The proposal, often referred to as the Senior Citizens Freedom to Work Act of 2026, focuses on the Social Security earnings limit. In simple terms, the idea is to remove the current earnings restrictions for people who claim Social Security before reaching full retirement age while still earning income from work. To understand why this matters, it helps to first understand how the current system works. Social Security has what is called a full retirement age, which for most people today falls somewhere between age 66 and 67, depending on the year they were born. People are allowed to start claiming benefits as early as age 62, but claiming early comes with certain rules and permanent reductions in monthly payments. One of those rules is the earnings test. Under current law, if someone claims Social Security before reaching full retirement age and continues working, part of their benefits may be temporarily withheld if their earnings exceed a yearly limit set by the Social Security Administration. That limit changes over time and is adjusted periodically. For example, if someone begins collecting benefits at age 62 or 63 while still earning a substantial salary, Social Security may withhold part of their monthly payments until they reach full retirement age. However, it is important to understand that these withheld amounts are not simply lost forever. Once the person reaches full retirement age, the Social Security Administration recalculates the benefit and adjusts future payments to account for the months in which benefits were withheld. Even though the system eventually adjusts for this, many people still find the rules confusing. Some workers feel discouraged from claiming benefits early because they are unsure how much money would actually be withheld or how the calculations work. There are also different rules about what types of income count toward the earnings limit, which can make the process harder to understand. The proposed legislation would remove that earnings restriction entirely for eligible workers below full retirement age. Under the proposal, a person could claim Social Security benefits and continue working without having their monthly benefits reduced because of employment income. To understand why the earnings limit exists in the first place, it helps to look at the history of Social Security. When the program was originally created, retirement was viewed very differently than it is today. At that time, retirement generally meant completely leaving the workforce. Social Security was designed primarily as income replacement for people who had stopped working. In the early years of the program, the rules were much stricter than they are today. If someone continued working, they often could not receive benefits at all. The reasoning behind this approach was based on the economic realities of that era. During the Great Depression, unemployment was extremely high, and policymakers believed encouraging older workers to leave the workforce could create more opportunities for younger workers seeking jobs. Over time, however, both the economy and society changed. Americans began living longer and staying healthier later in life. Many people in their 60s continued working either because they enjoyed it, wanted additional financial security, or preferred a gradual transition into retirement instead of stopping work all at once. Employers also began recognizing the value of experienced workers. Older employees often brought stability, knowledge, leadership, and professional experience that businesses considered highly valuable. As attitudes toward work and retirement evolved, Congress gradually relaxed the earnings rules. Thresholds increased over time, and the penalties became less restrictive. A major change came in 2000 when lawmakers eliminated the earnings test entirely for people who had already reached full retirement age. Since then, individuals above full retirement age have been able to earn unlimited income while still receiving their full Social Security benefits. The current proposal would extend that same flexibility to people who claim benefits before reaching full retirement age. Whenever changes involving Social Security are discussed, one of the biggest questions people ask is how the changes could affect the program's finances. Social Security already faces long-term financial pressures as the population ages and the ratio of workers paying payroll taxes changes over time. Removing the earnings limit could increase short-term costs because more benefits would likely be paid earlier instead of being temporarily withheld. More people might also choose to claim benefits earlier if there were no earnings restrictions tied to continued employment. However, many experts point out that the long-term financial impact may be more limited than some people assume. People who claim benefits early already receive reduced monthly payments compared to those who wait until full retirement age or later. Those reductions remain permanent throughout retirement. Because of that structure, lifetime payouts are designed to stay relatively balanced over time. Still, the proposal could encourage more workers to begin collecting benefits earlier than they otherwise would have. For some individuals, that could provide valuable financial flexibility. Someone who continues working while collecting benefits might use the additional income to reduce debt, build savings, strengthen emergency funds, or prepare for future healthcare expenses. At the same time, claiming early is not always the best long-term decision. Starting benefits at age 62 instead of waiting until full retirement age can significantly reduce monthly payments for life. For people who live well into their 80s or beyond, delaying benefits may result in substantially more lifetime income. Social Security is also one of the few retirement income sources that includes inflation adjustments. That guaranteed income becomes increasingly important for many retirees as living costs rise over time. Because of this, financial planning remains important regardless of whether the proposal eventually becomes law. The decision about when to claim Social Security depends on several personal factors, including health, expected longevity, retirement savings, work plans, monthly expenses, and family circumstances. For example, someone with strong savings and good health may benefit from delaying benefits to maximize future monthly income. Another person dealing with health concerns or immediate financial needs might reasonably choose to claim earlier. If the earnings limit were removed, the claiming decision would become simpler in one way because workers would no longer need to worry about benefits being withheld due to earned income. But it would also place even more responsibility on individuals to carefully evaluate their long-term financial strategy. Another important factor many people forget about is taxes. Social Security benefits can become partially taxable depending on a person's combined income. If someone continues working while collecting benefits, their total income could rise enough for part of those benefits to become taxable at the federal level. That does not necessarily mean claiming early is a bad decision, but it does mean people should understand the full picture before making choices about retirement timing. Some retirees also underestimate healthcare costs later in life. Even with Medicare coverage, out-of-pocket expenses can still become significant during retirement. Prescription medications, long-term care, supplemental insurance, and unexpected medical issues can all place pressure on retirement savings. That is one reason why many financial planners encourage people to think carefully before locking themselves into permanently reduced monthly Social Security benefits. On the other hand, there are workers who simply do not want to stop working at age 62 or even 67. Many Americans enjoy their careers and value the social connection, routine, and sense of purpose that work provides. Others may continue working because inflation and rising living costs make it difficult to fully retire earlier than planned. Housing costs, insurance premiums, food prices, and utility expenses have all increased over recent years, and many households feel pressure to maintain income for longer periods of time. For those individuals, removing the earnings limit could offer greater flexibility without forcing them to choose between earning a paycheck and receiving Social Security. There is also the issue of labor shortages in certain industries. In some sectors of the economy, experienced workers are in high demand. Businesses in healthcare, education, transportation, skilled trades, and consulting often rely heavily on older workers with years of experience and specialized knowledge. Supporters of the proposal argue that eliminating the earnings limit may encourage more experienced workers to remain active in the workforce longer, which could help businesses struggling to fill positions. Critics, however, argue that the primary purpose of Social Security should remain retirement income protection rather than encouraging continued employment. Another important detail people sometimes misunderstand is that Social Security benefits are based on lifetime earnings history. The Social Security Administration calculates benefits using a worker's highest earning years after adjusting for wage growth over time. Continuing to work later in life can sometimes increase future benefits if those additional working years replace lower earning years in a person's record. That means continued employment can still provide financial advantages beyond the paycheck itself. For some people, working a few extra years at higher wages may increase future retirement income permanently. Spousal benefits are another area that deserves attention. Married couples often make Social Security decisions together because one spouse's claiming strategy can affect household income over time. Widows and widowers may also qualify for survivor benefits based on a spouse's work record. Because these rules can become complicated, financial experts often encourage couples to evaluate their options carefully rather than making decisions based only on short-term income needs. The emotional side of retirement planning also matters more than many people expect. Retirement is not only a financial transition, it is a major lifestyle change. Some people adapt quickly and enjoy the freedom that comes with leaving full-time work. Others struggle with the sudden loss of routine, identity, or daily social interaction. That is one reason phased retirement has become more common in recent years. Instead of stopping work completely, some older Americans reduce their hours gradually, move into consulting roles, start small businesses, or work part-time while easing into retirement over several years. The structure of Social Security has slowly evolved alongside these broader changes in how people approach aging and employment. Decades ago, retirement was often viewed as a clear dividing line. Today, retirement paths are much more individualized. Technology has also contributed to these changes. Remote work, online businesses, and flexible employment opportunities allow many older adults to continue earning income in ways that were not possible generations ago. Someone in their late 60s or early 70s may now work from home, operate an online business, teach virtually, or freelance part-time while still maintaining a semi-retired lifestyle. These modern work arrangements blur the traditional distinction between fully employed and fully retired. That changing reality is one reason lawmakers continue debating whether older Social Security rules still fit the modern workforce. At the same time, uncertainty about the future of Social Security continues to concern many Americans. Surveys regularly show that workers worry about whether benefits will remain stable over the coming decades. While Social Security is expected to continue paying benefits even if financial pressures increase, policymakers may eventually need to make adjustments involving taxes, retirement ages, or benefit formulas to strengthen the system's long-term finances. Because of this uncertainty, many financial professionals encourage workers to avoid relying entirely on Social Security as their only retirement income source whenever possible. Retirement savings accounts, pensions, personal investments, and emergency savings can all help provide additional financial stability later in life. Of course, not everyone has equal access to those resources. Millions of Americans rely heavily on Social Security as a primary source of retirement income. For lower-income retirees especially, monthly Social Security payments often cover a large share of essential living expenses. That reality makes discussions about claiming age and benefit reductions especially important. A permanent reduction in monthly benefits may have a much larger impact on someone with limited savings than on someone with substantial retirement investments. The proposal to eliminate the earnings limit does not change the fundamental trade-off between claiming early and waiting longer. Workers would still need to weigh immediate income needs against higher future monthly payments. Some people may benefit from delaying benefits until age 70, when delayed retirement credits can significantly increase monthly payments compared to claiming at 62. Others may decide that receiving income earlier better fits their personal financial situation. There is no single strategy that works for everyone because retirement planning depends heavily on individual circumstances. Health conditions, family responsibilities, debt levels, savings, housing costs, and employment opportunities all influence the decision. For example, someone caring for an aging spouse or dealing with rising medical expenses may value immediate cash flow more than maximizing long-term benefits. Another person with stable finances and a family history of long life may prioritize larger inflation-adjusted payments later in retirement. One useful step for anyone approaching retirement age is creating a realistic retirement budget. Understanding monthly expenses can help determine how much income will actually be needed after leaving full-time work. Many people are surprised by how much expenses can fluctuate during retirement, especially when healthcare costs, home repairs, or inflation increase unexpectedly. Another important consideration is emergency savings. Retirees who claim benefits early while still working may choose to direct those payments into savings rather than spending them immediately. Building additional financial reserves can provide peace of mind during uncertain economic periods. Investment risk also matters. Some people assume they can claim Social Security early and invest the payments for higher returns, but investment markets can be unpredictable. Safer investments generally offer lower returns, while higher return investments often involve greater volatility. People nearing retirement typically need to balance growth opportunities with protecting their savings from major losses. Inflation remains another major concern for retirees. Even moderate inflation can gradually reduce purchasing power over time. One reason Social Security is valuable is because benefits receive cost of living adjustments intended to help keep pace with rising prices. For retirees living on fixed incomes, those annual adjustments can become increasingly important over long retirement periods. Financial education plays a huge role in these decisions. Many Americans admit they do not fully understand how Social Security claiming works. Confusion about earnings limits, taxation, spousal benefits, and claiming ages often leads people to make rushed decisions without fully understanding the long-term effects. That is why it is important to rely on accurate information from official government sources or qualified financial professionals rather than rumors or misleading claims online. Social Security rules are complex, and individual situations can vary widely. The legislation itself is still part of an ongoing political discussion. Even if lawmakers support the general idea, details could change significantly before any final law is passed. Congress may debate income thresholds, implementation timelines, administrative changes, or other modifications during the legislative process. For now, the most practical approach is staying informed while focusing on personal financial preparation. Reviewing retirement plans regularly, monitoring Social Security estimates, reducing unnecessary debt, and strengthening savings can all help improve long-term financial security, regardless of future policy changes. More broadly, this debate reflects a larger national conversation about aging, work, and retirement in America. People are living longer, careers are changing, and traditional retirement patterns continue evolving. Policies originally designed generations ago are now being re-examined in light of modern economic realities. Whether the earnings limit is eventually eliminated or not, the conversation itself highlights how important flexibility has become for today's workforce. Many Americans want greater control over how and when they transition into retirement, and policymakers are increasingly responding to those concerns. At the same time, long-term planning remains essential. Social Security can provide valuable financial support, but the timing of benefits is one of the most important retirement decisions many people will ever make. Decisions made at age 62 or 63 can continue affecting monthly income decades later. That is why careful planning matters more than reacting emotionally to headlines or political debates. Understanding the rules, evaluating personal finances honestly, and thinking long-term can make a major difference in retirement stability and peace of mind. Golden Seniors Hub will continue following updates related to Social Security, retirement planning, and changes affecting older Americans. Staying informed, reviewing trusted information regularly, and planning ahead remain some of the most important steps anyone can take when preparing for retirement and protecting long-term financial security.